Hey there, everybody. So for this new book that I've got coming out, Antifascist Dad, it's out with North Atlantic Books next April. The link is in the show notes and all that. I'm going to be doing like a full court social media press with TikTok and stuff like that. And that means for the first time doing some more professionally produced and edited spots. But to be honest, I've never done anything like that before, and I am like happy with how they're turning out. Like, they make me feel like an adult. You know, I'm at the big kids table with the chorus group getting lots of money. That's a joke. But it is unusual. And so what I want to do is ease my more familiar readership into this pre-launch vibe by making a more personal intro and releasing that first. So why did I write the book? Well, our 12-year-old asked me a question the morning after the Trump 2.0 victory. He said, "What's going to happen now?" And I had nothing but a hug. And then it unleashed a flood of political and household relationship contemplation. And so if you followed me from my work on conspirituality, this book marks the shift that sort of question provokes. It's to the question of what we do in our families and communities and care constellations when we don't really need any more convincing that fascism is here, even though, you know, we have to keep track of it, which I'll, of course, continue to do in the rest of my work. And if you followed me from my cult journalism days, this new project has a similar kind of what now thrust to it. Because at this point, I think there's a lot of great information out there on cultic dynamics and how high demand groups work. And I don't think it's going to be as hard for Gen Z and Gen Alpha to see the obvious red flags waving around. I think this kind of first occurred to me when I interviewed my go-to gaming expert, Riley McLeod of Aftersight, about the video game called Cult of the Lamb, which that same 12-year-old was playing, where you play as a very cute but extremely impressionable, volatile little lamb who is actually a cult leader. And because it's so much fun, the full absurdity of cultic exploitation is just obvious to see. It's laid bare. It's ironic. And most of the young people I know or am aware of have pretty sharp BS meters. And so part of this book comes out of the feeling that the last 5 years of popular cult literature and streaming media, just like the last 5 years of popular critiques of Trumpism, have actually laid a solid groundwork for understanding our general conditions. And I also believe that engaging with each new outrage or circle of hell can be demoralizing, but also a little addictive. There's a lot of doom scrolling in our lives, and I worry about the point at which, paradoxically, it becomes pleasurable, a kind of retreat into the cold comfort of knowing that at least you know how bad things are and you're not going to be humiliated by surprises. But the fact is that doomerism is a facet of fascism. Fascists are happy if you are sad and paralyzed. So part of why I'm here doing this now is that there's less conversation about non-fascist and non-cult life than I'd like to see, especially between the generations. And not just non-cult or non-fascist life. Like, I don't think we live in social or political conditions in which merely avoiding fascism or cults is going to protect anyone here with, you know, what they need. And so I'm with the folks who know that it's not enough, for example, to be not racist in some personal or psychological way, because racism is built into our systems at a structural level. You have to be anti-racist to make a difference. And in the same way, I don't think there is, in my mind, any neutral, liberal, getting back to normal ground to stand on, and maybe there never was. Baseline capitalism, over time, will concentrate its social forms into cults, and they might be religious, they might be corporate, and its politics will devolve into fascist chaos. And so this project is about anti-fascism, which is not just about fighting back, it's also about building solidarity. And that is about doing the opposite to what cults do. And I think I know a little bit about what cults do. But my lens particularly is intergenerational. So I'm going to be paying close attention to parenting, caregiving, mentorship, and all forms of intergenerational learning. I don't think that anyone is too young to start thinking and learning about anti-fascist life and building an anti-fascist life. And I also don't think that any of the basics are too hard to understand. And I don't think we can avoid the heritage fact that we're all going to be at this for a very long time. And I don't think we can mince words anymore about getting back to some sort of baseline. Because just like in the 1930s, the liberal institutions that always propose that things will be okay, that capitalism can work if it's a little bit kinder, or that there is no real way to address global inequality beyond some land acknowledgements, none of that is good enough. The troops are in the streets, the oceans are rising, and our kids are watching a genocide on their phones. The problem isn't social media. So the word urgent is in the subtitle, but I don't want to convey the impression that this is a panicky book, because panicky parenting or caregiving is unavoidable at some times, but I think we also have to provide quiet and calm space, maybe first and foremost, if we can. For me, this is the top spiritual demand in my own parenting experience, that I really have to not let my anxiety become the kid's anxiety, to not provoke anxiety in the kid, to assure myself that I've done a protective job or that we're on the same page. The kid deserves their own world from which new possibilities can be explored. And if I'm not giving them that, I'm just kicking the trauma can down the road. So I hope that I've written a very hopeful book. It assumes that the young people in your life are not dying in their phones or video games, or having their basic goodness rewired by AI. It doesn't preach nostalgia, but it also doesn't offer the, dodgy little pep talks that suggest that things will be okay if everyone gets to soccer practice on time or cleans their room. This is a book, I would say, about love, and that includes the political necessity of drawing lines to protect the vulnerable, and then contemplating and owning the risks that come with drawing those lines. It's also a book that assumes that your network of people generally already knows how to be anti-fascist in daily life, and that you can already visualize a more collaborative neighborhood where basic interactions cut fascism off at the knees. Okay, so that's part of the story, and I'll leak out more of it over the next 8 months leading up to the launch. And you can help the algorithm and the visibility and all that by pre-ordering via the link in the link tree or my bio. And I'm also going to be grounding some of this conversation in community stuff that is really motivating this project through a new podcast project that I'm going to be launching next month on October 8th. So if you see some glossier promos bouncing around out there, I'm still me. I'll still be here, and I'll be, pleased to hear what you have to say. All right, take care.